Next edition of the Wandering Yuki Cheese Cafe is continuing the coffee table project. I've already shown it off before in a couple of my other videos, but I'm going to be on the home stretch to do the final touches over here. But before I go, there's actually one thing I'd have to touch up, and I'm also going to give you a little basic recap of everything I did to build this thing. Pretty simple, something that if you're happy working with tools, if you're comfortable with wood, you can whip this up yourself too. Stick around. So to put together this coffee table, the first thing I did was I got a piece of pine from the hardware store. It was this piece over here that was around 3/4 inches high, and it's going to be about 24 inches going vertically, and then horizontally is 48 inches. To give it some support on the bottom, I had these old pieces of 4x4s from some previous projects to give it the legs. Those I cut to about, I want to say 16 to 17 inches high, so not the worst thing to do. To give a bit of extra support too, because obviously it could curve, this was actually some lumber that was left from a skid from a delivery from earlier this year when I was redoing my garden walls. Just cut it up to give it a nice base. And lastly, on this side is where you're going to get most of the extra support. Leftover 2x4s of pressure treated wood, drilled, screwed and glued to the bottom of this, and held together using these brackets that you're normally supposed to use for fence posts. Easy to put together. Obviously, because this is pressure treated wood, this is actually a lot heavier than the pine at the top, but at least it gives a bit of leverage for the wind. And then the border on this side is a piece of pine as well. This is about 1 foot, no, not 1 foot, 1 inch high by about 3 inches wide. Simple enough. And then I cut around it to give it this border and try to put it at a 45-degree angle. That being said, I seem to have messed up a little bit because you'll notice that it wasn't quite cut exactly here. There's a bit of a gap around the side. Luckily, this is an easy fix. So, to fix up those gaps, I'm going to be using a bit of wood filler. This is stuff I bought for another project completely different, which is an extra strength one. This is a paintable, sandable, stainable as well. Plus, this is extra strength so that you can actually fit screws into here, that it would actually be able to hold it well together. So I'm going to fill up the gaps with this, and of course have a glove on so I don't get messy, because I need to even it out. There. Now that that's done, time to just take my finger and slide it along here to be able to make it fill up the gap a little bit more smoothly. Oh, this is like working with peanut butter, actually. Not quite what I was expecting. Actually, forget it. It's like Play-Doh mixed with peanut butter. Match made in heaven, I suppose, if you're a kid. Just hopefully it's non-toxic. Caution, irritant. Yep. Definitely not something you want to give to your kid. Okay, so now it's been filled in. This is going to take about a good 8 hours to cure properly, and then I could just sand it a little bit further and then stain it, and then it's good to go. Now to do the other side. Luckily this one has less of a gap than the other one, so it should be much easier to fill. There. Alright, filled up 2. Need to let this dry for 8 hours. And of course, dispose of the glove. Because it's dirty, not disposing of evidence, people. Okay, now while we're waiting for this thing to dry, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm doing for a final touch to this. I mentioned I have one last thing I want to decorate it with, and you're probably going to be wondering, how can I do it? Well, all of you that have shared some beers with me over the past, this is what your contribution is. All these bottle caps over here. Got this idea from one of my buddies who was collecting for a similar project many years ago, and until he told me that, stop giving it to him because he already has enough. I don't know if he ever got around to building that table, but lately I've just been thinking, I've got so much here, let's put it to use and let's do this as well. I'm going to do a quick test run to see how this looks, but essentially I'm just going to lay down each one of these caps along the table, see how it looks, and I'm basically going to be gluing this on. So all of the beers that we've shared over the years, gentlemen, and ladies of course, everyone, like I said, who shared a beer, you're helping me with this. You're contributing, man. I'm noticing I have a lot of Moosehead, Belle Gueule, and whatnot. Oh yeah, Heineken too. So, I'm representing Holland. Cheers to you, Jan. I just hope I have enough for this. Okay, test run. This is what it's looking like right now. Obviously, I still have a lot more to sort through, but it's starting to look really nice. Obviously, I haven't done anything to stick it on yet. I just want to make sure I have enough first before I commit to the project. It was kind of nice to look at a few of these and bring back a few memories for where I tried a couple of them. Like, Birra Moretti. I know I've had that about 3 years ago. And this was actually one of the house beers I got pretty often when I was over in Italy, everywhere I went. I can see that Mooseheads of regulars I've shared with my friends over the years. Plenty of them from Trou du Diable with this devil over here. Ooh, Saint Buck. I know I've seen that brewer on Saint Denis, but what did I have again? Oh yeah, Sour Jesus and Black Jesus. Wow. Belgian Moon, which is what it's called over here. Go to Europe, it's actually called Blue Moon. Plenty of stuff from Belle Gueule and Saint Ambroise. In fact, at Belle Gueule, I've gotten so many different labels. The original ones I remembered, this one here, and then the modernized one that came relatively recently, I think. Wow, I actually forgot that I had Rolling Rock here. It's a bit of Labatt 50, a bit more Unibrew. Once again, lots of Heineken. Deux Frères, and, ooh, Grimbergen, or Grimbachen. Sorry, Jan, I butchered the language yet again. Another Belgian brown beer that used to be available at McKibben's, and I didn't realize it was hard to come by until my friend from Holland had saw that on the menu, and he got excited and said, "They have this?" And I knew that it was a good one, if a bit strong. And color me surprised when I used to be able to find this in grocery stores. Sadly enough, I think they stopped selling it. It was a really good one. Yeah, this brought back a lot of memories. Oh! KDVD Brewery. This has to be Iceberg. Newfoundland beer. Nice and light. Good times. Still plenty more to work around with this. But I've done my first draft now after maybe, I want to say 30 minutes of rearranging it. Here's a little idea of what the result's going to look like. Everything is going to be glued onto here eventually. Then you're going to see a lot of gaps. Those gaps are going to be filled in with a clear epoxy to lay over it. And then that's going to dry off. They'll even it out and it'll be a nice clean surface. Yeah, I think maybe I could fit a little bit more over here. At first I was scared I wouldn't have enough. But I was wrong. And I did find a few other goodies over here as well. Like, this one here is the Motorhead Ale that was only available at the SAQ. I know I probably had it in my buddy's backyard over many summers ago. I do see one for La Barbarie. Where did I find that one? Okay, I can't see it. But I have a vivid memory of being in Quebec City and trying the brewer over there in some fall. I had a pumpkin beer that one time. My buddy told me that it's worth checking out, and I'm glad I did. Something here from Île-la-Madeleine. Also the Brasserie Générale. General Brewer. Hoegaarden, one of my favorite strong white beers. I drank that even before I really understood the beauties of beer. There's La Barbarie. Corona Extra. I can assure you that I did not drink this one. Corona's really not my style beer. Granville Island. It's a little BC one. Plenty of Sleeman also, like more so than I expected. I kind of wish I knew where I got that from. There's plenty from Brassard du Monde, Brassard de Montréal. Ooh, Alchemist. Jules, if you're watching this, chances are this is something that we shared together in the past. Jukebox. Probably some rock-related beers, like Guitar, Double Distortion, Le Funk, which is supposed to be like a farmhouse ale, and it's supposed to taste horsey and goaty. I don't know what goaty beer is supposed to taste like, and I still don't get it to this day. Yep, this is going to be a beautiful project once it's done. Oh boy. Turns out that one tube of glue is not going to be enough to complete this table. But luckily I got a little bit of a backup. 5 tubes of this sucker. Hope I have enough now. So at first what I was doing was gluing each one of the bottle caps and then placing it onto the table. But it actually turned out to be a lot easier to just glue onto the table directly and then lay the bottle caps on and press well to give it a tight seal. There's going to be some glue that's still sticking up, but you know what? I don't care, because the step after I'm done with these caps is going to cover it all up. No one's going to notice, and no one's going to care. At least they're not going to care after a couple of beers. And getting to the end of my first tube. 1 down, 4 more to go. Number 2. Not bad. I also realized I was out of nitrate gloves to help me with this, so I'm relying on these transparent gloves that I had in my kitchen. I just don't want to get glue all over myself. This stuff's poison, you know. And there. We're good. Back in business. Something I should have done earlier too was cutting a smaller hole into this so I don't have to waste as much glue. But live and learn. Next table I do with these caps, I'll remember. Yeah. Stuff looks kind of gross when you look at it. Good old Newfoundland beer has just been represented. Oof. This has a little bit of a runoff. Okay, I'm getting close to the center. I'm gonna take les deux frères. The next one, if I could find it, is gonna be... Nope, not that. Grimbergen. Finally on the home stretch. Seriously, just how much bloody glue is this gonna take? I feel like I've gone through so much of it already. It's, I don't know, not even funny. Not to mention, too, I feel like I've used enough glue that I probably added another 50 pounds to this bloody thing. I guess I'll find out soon enough. But I got a few caps left, some classics I didn't even realize I still had. There's a Goose Island one, there's Cronenberg 1664. Like, how long have I been holding on to this for? Alright. Guns loaded up. Alright. Got a bit of a puncture now. Man, people sure don't know how to drive around here. Don't get me started on flashers too. The number of people I've seen that use a flasher like the minute they're ready to turn, as opposed to warning ahead of time saying, hey, I'm turning left. It's almost like they're trying to swerve you when you're on the road. Or my favorite one, when they're, whoop, here we go. My favorite one too is when they say they want to turn right with their flasher, and then they turn left. How does that work? Do another Tour du Diable. I've got some of them up in the triangle formation over here, because I'm thinking I was subconsciously imagining a Testament song, mentioning the Devil's Triangle. That's the song Raging Waters if ever you want to check. Good 80s classic thrash. Okay, so 6.5 tubes of glue later, I got the whole table finally finished up. So now this is going to take around another 24 hours for it to finally settle in, and then I can move on to the next step of the project, namely epoxy. That's going to be the fun part. How the heck am I going to get so much epoxy for all this though? Okay, let me get this straight. We have 17-degree weather close to the middle of November. It's definitely unusual, but I'll take it, because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to finish this table whatsoever this year, but now I'd be able to finish off the remaining steps. So with all the bottle caps glued on, or practically all glued on, it's time to put the finishing touch, which is a bit of epoxy. This is something I was trying to look around for a lot, and finally came around to it at some hardware stores. So it's a pack like this that you have here, like close to 1 liter, which gives you about 6.4 square feet of coverage, and it's a 2-part bottle. You got, well, part B, the activator, which is to apply to a bottle of resin. So combined together, this is going to create a plastic that will harden up as it's settling in. But before I do that, I have one more final touch to do. Okay, let's see this. There. I had to get some tarp on here to protect it from the winter. So I have a few caps that look like they got loose. Like they kind of jumped up and the glue had kind of made it uneven. So what I'm going to need to do is re-glue a few of these. But I'm not going to use the same adhesive I did before, because that takes about 24 hours to cure. To do that, I'm just going to use a tube of cement or contact cement. You lay it on, it dries up in about 15 minutes and settles in about 1 hour. This is like the best quick fix for here. This stuff is also pretty good if you're working with plumbing stuff, because it's the best thing you can use to get PVC piping dried up and sealed as properly and quickly as possible. But to scrape off the glue that had been left on here, I'm gonna use this thing over here, an oscillating what is it again? Right, an oscillating multi-tool, and I have a blade over here that's designed to be flexible to scrape off adhesives. This plug is not long enough for it, and my extension cord's already put in for the winter. I'm gonna have some work to do now. Okay, so I've re-glued all those bottle caps that were loose, and now it's going to need about a good hour and 15 minutes to really dry up. This is going to be enough time to prepare the epoxy and take care of some other stuff around here. So, everything's coming up Millhouse. Alright, while I'm waiting for that cement to dry, I think it's time to have a nice afternoon brew. It's rare that I do that in the afternoon. I gotta correct that. And yeah, I'm not wearing the purple sweater anymore because I thought it's kind of warm. I don't need to have anything more than the cardigan. And the most important reason, I'm too sexy for my shirt. Yep. Alright, I think I've given that more than enough time to dry, so I'm gonna start by getting the epoxy all set up now. Hopefully this is gonna go pretty well. Good thing I got some backup gloves to help me get through this. So the first thing I'm gonna do is put part A in, which is the actual resin. You usually have to do like an even amount, so whatever amount you put of this, you have to put an equal amount of the activator. Of course, I'm using the whole bloody thing, so I'm just gonna put it all together. Oh yeah, I'm gonna need one more thing. Clean stirring rod. To simplify it, I'm just using these coffee sticks. I don't usually use that to serve coffee, so this will just be for arts and crafts and such. Okay, 2 of them here just in case. And then to mix it all, I got this cheap water jug over at the dollar store. It's gonna get the job done for me. So let's see. Oh, you have to puncture this thing. There we are. So now, let's put it in. I want to get it all in over here, because I need everything I can get for this table. Oh. My epoxy has a bit of gas. Don't mind it. And now that I have that, I'm going to get the activator set up. Activating hardening process. That's I think what it's supposed to be. Activator is supposed to let this thing harden once it mixes together. Both these things are a little under 500 milliliters each, but combined, you get almost 1 liter of this shit. There. I think I've exhausted as much as I can. Let's get this in here. Wow, this one actually comes out a little bit easier. Everybody's cleaning up now. Alright, that seems to be everything. So, I'm going to take my stirring rods, get these mixed up. It's going to take about a good 3 minutes before it's done. Max 5 minutes. Alright, I think it's been about at least 5 minutes with this, which is the maximum amount of time you're supposed to give for this before it's ready to apply. So now, I'm ready to pour it on the table. Yep, it's looking good. Here we are. I'm about to lay the epoxy on the table. So the trick with this, you start off working in the center, then work your way to the sides over here. Then I'm going to either use a squeegee, or it makes a scraper, or this soft trowel to really spread it afterwards. But then once I have it all spread, it needs to sit for at least 25 minutes. Or at least 25 minutes is the amount of time I'm going to have left to work this thing. Otherwise it's useless. So here goes nothing. This may not be enough. Good thing I have a second box of this stuff. There. So now let's try spreading this stuff. This trowel is supposed to be used for mostly working with grout. But I figured if I'm not going to be using it for grout just yet, this will get the job done for the table. Yep, I think I'm definitely going to need another batch of this. But before I get to that, I need to let this settle first for around 4 to 5 hours to be completely cured. Then after that, I can add a second layer. Of course, it's going to get dark by then. So that means I'll have to leave it aside until tomorrow. Okay. So this has been the... Oh, damn steak. So this is drying overnight, and then this morning I just added a second layer of epoxy to cover up some of the gaps. However, it looks like I'm still going to need a little bit more to get some coverage for a couple of reasons. First off, the obvious reason is on the right-hand side of this table, there's still a lot of gaps that were left that the epoxy was not able to reach. So I'm going to need another container at minimum to get this all covered up. But another thing I'm seeing is that there's a couple of caps that didn't stick. They might have gone a little bit at an angle, and therefore it isn't even at all. However, this is an easy thing for me to fix. What I plan to do eventually is, once I have it all covered up, I'm going to probably add another layer, like another thickness of it, just so that everything is a bit more uniform. This is looking really nice too. And to get some protection I should have done yesterday, I added a layer of masking tape on the perimeter. That way, in case there's any epoxy that drips on the edges in between the two pieces of wood, then it's just going to stick underneath, and I can peel this off afterwards. So far, looking good. But yeah, I wonder how much more epoxy I'm going to have to get. Epoxy, how many tubes of glue. There's much more chemical than wood in this thing. Well, it's been a little over 24 hours since I put that last layer of epoxy, so we're going to go take a look-see, and beautiful. Let's see, it's looking really nice right now. Solidified quite well after 24 hours. It just needs another 48 hours, and this will be fully cured. There's a few things I'm going to have to point out over here. One, there's a few bubbles that are laid out, but that's normal. It just needs to be popped, and then you're good. And I believe that this texture is a little bit sticky, like in some spots. That can happen from time to time. Easiest way to get that cured is just to rub a little bit of acetone or even alcohol to get it done. And then lastly, I noticed that over here, the epoxy has gotten pretty thick compared to over here, where it looks like it might have settled more on that side. But all things considered, not bad for a first try. I guess since I have the weather against me right now, I should probably take it easy on this and then maybe consider doing the next layer of epoxy next year. Overall, satisfactory. Quite proud that I was able to whip this all up myself. It's a pretty cool project. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you see, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, send a like, and spread the cheese everywhere you can. This has been another edition of the Wandering Yuki Cheese Cafe, signing off. So peace, y'all, and remember, stay out of trouble. What? No time bonus? No cheddar bonus? Damn it.